That's focus number one. With that, you add in the senior night deal. Be senior night here in the Swamp. So there's a little bit of an extra stuff that goes on with all of that. As you said, then we get the one more game, but that'll be kind of getting into a normal game week. The thing that'll be different is we'll be going through final exams that week. So you got a kind of challenging schedule to get that organized the following week, as well as having a signing day on Wednesday. So there is a lot, but we have a really good staff to kind of keep everything and everybody to know what their job is, what their responsibility is, and to get it done. And it's been a unique year with a lot of unique challenges, and this is just another one.
You guys are wired differently than a lot of normal people, but does it still you wake up and go, yeah, I got too much going on suddenly? Does it hit you ever?
No, you wake up and you go. I mean, your mind's just racing at night. Usually when you try to fall asleep a little bit, your mind races between 2 and 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, making sure you've checked everything that needs to be done. But that's I guess that's just part of the deal.
What's the answer to the offensive lulls in the first half? I mean, you guys are starting fantastically, closing halves incredibly, and starting the next one. There's that lull in there. Is there something you're going to kind of change, a message you're going to deliver to try to?
No, we just got to execute better. I don't know that we were very good last week offensively, to be honest with you. Which is kind of, I guess, hard to say. I think hard to say. It's not to say we weren't very good. I think we missed a lot of opportunities last week. I think we had 3 possessions start on the plus side of the field with 0 points. I mean, you should be 100% at that. So I think we left 21 points out there on the field that we should have had. There's a lot of – when you look at it, if there's one reason, then you go – if there's one thing, you go fix it. But it's just, it's lots of different things, whether it be a missed read by the quarterback, a missed check, miscommunication at the line of scrimmage, a dropped pass, sometimes great defense. Every once in a while, there's great defense too. We forget to give those guys credit whose job it is to stop us. I think there's all of that goes into it. I think we can still continue to get better. I think we can play a lot better than we have. But I think we also, as a team, do everything that you need to do to win games. Last week's game is a great example. We take a 3-0 lead. Okay, so we're playing with a lead. They come back, score to make it 7-3. We immediately go to 10-7 to take the lead right back from them. Then at the end of the half, they give us the ball, and it's they give us the ball, and it's 10-7. And the next time they touch the ball, it's 24-7. So all those little things that we do that we need to do to win. It's 31-7. We kind of put the game away and it's over, in the fourth quarter. And then, but then we make the mistakes where we get the ball on the plus side of the field. We don't score offensively. Like you said, we miss some opportunities. I know we want to be efficient, score every time we have the ball. That doesn't always happen. Defensively, have a big lead. We kind of play a little bit softer to make them eat up the clock and kind of run out the end of the game. And, and then we give up touchdowns that we don't need to be giving up at the end of the game. Guys need to come up and step up and make plays. So, there's all those little things that I think we can play better. But as a team, I'm really happy because we're doing what you need to do to win as a team from one week to the next.
Thank you, Dan.
Mm-hmm.
Matt. Hey, Dan, you said the other night that the college football playoff committee and all that stuff, the strength of scheduling, as you see it, is going to be a big deal here going forward. Why are you kind of wanting to read a lot into it? Because this is just such a different year than most.
Well, I mean, every year they talk about that. Shouldn't it be strength of scheduling is what matters. So I don't know why it should be different this year than other years. Of that, why would you, your criteria, why change it from strength of scheduling ever, right? I mean, either we should encourage you to play the toughest schedule you can play, and encourage you to do that, and you should get rewarded for playing a tough schedule and winning a lot of games. I don't know. That's just me, but maybe I'm not on the playoff committee, so that's a great question for the playoff committee members of why criteria should change every year.
Sure, I understand that, but at the same time, when you are putting together your future schedules, this is something that you're going to view just as another data point in how they come up with.
Yeah, it's something that you probably should really pay attention to. You know what I mean? If it is all about if strength of schedule or you're going to play a tough schedule doesn't, reward you. I don't know. I would guess if you're an AD, that would be a message to make it, go out there, I guess. If you want to get in the playoffs, try to schedule an easiest schedule as possible.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
David. Coach, coming off the worst running game performance of the season, after you watched film yesterday, how would you assess the issues in the run game versus Tennessee?
Yeah, we missed a couple blocks. We didn't really try to run the ball very much, right? I think our backs had like 4 or 5 carries. That's about it. So they were giving us the pass game, so we just kind of stuck with the pass game.
All right, one more. After 6 sacks versus Tennessee, you guys already have 30 sacks on the shortened season, and that's a number you guys have hit all 3 seasons here. Many players contributed to that. How does that success keep going, no matter who's lining up at on the defensive line or linebacker for Florida?
Well, I think we have great athletes out there. I think certainly Todd does a good job of getting players in position to make plays. I think game situation puts pressure on people and change what they want to do within the course of a game and force them to be uncomfortable and play out of what their maybe game plan was, and allows us, which we want to be a fast, physical, aggressive defense, and come after the quarterback and disrupt quarterback play. And so we've been able to do that again this year. That's part of our defensive style.
Zach.
Hey, Dan, the last time LSU came here in 2018, what did that win do for your program early on to kind of get a win like that over a rival?
Well, I think it was huge. I think our guys came out that day. We played a really tough physical game, which it usually is against LSU, always a battle right down to the end. And our guys, I think that day, we, found a way to win. I think really came together as a team. We had critical defensive stops when we needed to, big offensive drives when we needed to in the course of the game. Made a lot of big plays that day. So I think anytime you do that, I think there's that can be a huge boost for the confidence of the guys, and especially in our first year here in the program was a big boost. For our guys trying to believe and understand what we were trying to accomplish and what we'd be able to do in the future.
And then your thoughts on this year's LSU team, obviously coming off that national championship, definitely not having the type of year that they would want to have, but still got a lot of talent, I'm sure, on that.
They got a lot of talent. They put up a lot of points, can score points in a hurry offensively. They lost a lot of guys, so they're a young football team, lost a lot of guys to the off of that last year's team. And you look, a lot of times you have a team that goes on a championship run like they did last year. They do it with a very veteran group of guys, and then all of a sudden, the next year, a lot of those veteran guys are gone. But they have a tremendous amount of talent. A lot of guys, some playmakers and mismatches on offense from the running backs, different wideouts that can cause you issues. They got a really athletic tight end in the passing game. Defensively, they got DBs that can cover on the back end and a big physical group up front. So, when you look at them, I think they've had some up and down games, and with a young team, they've played a bunch of different quarterbacks this year. So when you you're going through all of those different changes and things that are happening, you can see. But, they have a couple dominating wins where they came in and blew people out, a couple of games that went right down to the wire for them. They've had a couple of games where, I'm sure it kind of went the wrong way for them with a young team, how they didn't expect it to go and ended up on the short end of those games. So, you see a lot of different things from them. As a team that as a young team, they're growing, learning, but a dangerous team because they have weapons all over the field.
Thanks, Dan.
Cassidy.
Hey, Dan. Going back to that 2018 game, after the game, you said in your post-game interview, this is what the Swamp should be. This is what Florida football should be. And at the time, that game was seen sort of as an outlier. That was the big game for that year. Do you feel like now, 3 years into the program, that you've gotten the program to where that's the standard, to where every game is like that? I know this year it's weird with the crowd, but essentially, do you think 3 years in, the program is where it should be at this point?
Yeah, we're pretty pleased. Our goal is to compete for championships, and we're doing that this year, having the opportunity to go to Atlanta. You look, though, the last 2 years we've had top 10 finishes and won 2 New Year's Six bowl games. So that's where it is. I think probably a lot of that for me is the atmosphere, which we're not going to get this year, which is, when we come and we play in the Swamp, we expect it to be the toughest environment in college football. And if I remember back to that day, I mean, that was probably the loudest, most electric the stadium was that season, for sure. And it kind of reminded me of what it was back in the national championship years. And so, anytime we step into the Swamp, I know I want our players to play at an extremely high level, but I mean, the Gator Nation's so critical to give you that home field advantage, that energy, that excitement. And I know they did it that year, in that game. And so, moving forward, though, that is what we expect. I love, playing for championships, playing top-level football, and when we get the opportunity to be at home, have the best home field advantage in college football.
Thank you. That was my follow-up to Zach's. Here's my actual question. When you have a night like you did the other night where you think it was, 19 rushing yards, the lack of running game is one of the few knocks on this offense, but when you have a quarterback like Kyle and you have the receivers who can go downfield, is the running game not there because the passing game is so strong, or does the passing game have to be strong because the running game's not there?
Well, it can be a little bit of everything depending on the game and how it goes and what we do, and how the game's going and how it's playing out. So there's not a specific answer to that. I don't really, to be honest with you, go back to the game, I don't really think we tried to run the ball very much. So we could go spend a lot of time and we could go run the ball. We'll find a way to run the ball and go do it. Probably slow the game down, ball control, grind it out. But that doesn't really fit the strength of our team right now when, we have success throwing it and can create matchups all over the field that cause problems for people. So, I think it's a lot about what we want to do. It'd be one thing if, I don't know, whatever, I didn't look at the numbers. I don't think we were run efficient. That was disappointing. A couple
17 rushes of 66 plays, 17 rushes.
Yeah, and a couple of them were sacks, right? Because they count as rushes. So, we really didn't run the ball that much, and a couple of them were at the end of the game. We're trying to kill the clock too. So, if we ran the ball 40 times and didn't have many yards, that would probably go into the concern area. The fact that we weren't really trying to run it doesn't really throw it into my concern area.
Thank you.
Nick. Hey, Coach. Senior day, senior night, Saturday. How does that change, I guess, just procedurally, a normal game? And then how is it different this year because of COVID and restrictions?
As you said, all the different things on me, I haven't even got to that yet. I got a lot going on right now. I'll figure that out sometime later this week.
Do you ever feel for the seniors, just because this is probably just not the way they envisioned their senior season? You talked about stadium capacity and things like that, just everything, all the weird, unique things that they've had to go through this year?
Well, I think for them, they envisioned their senior year going to Atlanta and playing for an SEC championship. So I think that's probably what as they would view it, what is really important. And so it actually is kind of probably exactly how they envisioned it.
Fair. And then you guys continue to spread the ball around in the passing game. Probably isn't hurting recruiting when you can show stuff like that. But just what kind of quarterback does it take, and how well is Kyle being able to handle that and not forcing it to Kyle or Kadarius every play, just being able to spread the ball and stay within the offense?
Well, I think that's part of playing the quarterback position. That's one of the most important parts. I think, at times, and Kyle will tell you this, I imagine he misses reads during the game, should take some other things out there. But, but we have a lot of faith and a lot of confidence in what he's doing and his decision-making on the field. But, that's quarterbacking. That's quarterback play of understanding the offense, understanding why we're doing what we're doing. Right, and what the design of the play is, and then you got to be able to understand what the defense is doing and why they're doing what they're doing, what they're trying to take away from you, and then they can't take everything away from you, and so you just got to keep going to let them take something away from you. That's okay. You'll go to the next option, and that's honestly that's what good quarterbacks do.
Buddy.
Hey, Dan, in the year when you met some of your goals, big ones, including beating Georgia, getting to the SEC championship game on a good win streak, get the offense and score a lot of points, Now you turn around and you see what's next. I know you haven't looked past LSU, but there's Alabama looking so formidable. How do you allow yourself not to think about that? Because obviously that's the target eventually.
Well, I'll be honest with you. You focus on that, and then because our focus is that we got to get better. If you want to be a championship team, as I've said all year, you got to get better from one week to the next. You don't regress. You don't ever want to go backwards. Now, I mean, you might not get better in every single phase, every single week, but you never want to regress as a team. So our focus has to be getting better this week, and then I imagine next week you could ask me the same question and say, are you looking forward to Ohio State or Clemson or Notre Dame after Alabama? And I'll say, no, we're going to be focused on getting better and us being a better team this week and focus on that. So I mean, that's just the simplicity of it all. I mean, I know it sounds like coach talk, but the reality, if you want to be a great football team, you focus on the task at hand. The task at hand is us getting better as a team, preparing, practicing better this week than we did last week, playing with more effort and strain, being more efficient on offense and making bigger plays on defense than we did last week. And then taking this week's game plan and applying it to LSU and doing it better than we applied last week's game plan to Tennessee, and we get better as a team. And if we do that, and then hopefully next week we do the same thing, and then weeks after that you continue to do that until the season ends and we put 2020's team to rest.
But incremental will be a good word. You're being incremental and taking each task as you go.
Sure. That's like a big vocab word there for me.
Yeah. Just a quick word on Kadarius. He's been a weapon. He's been an impact on the offense and defense the last few weeks. Talk about his game and how he's become such an important part of the offense, and how has he improved?
Well, I think, I think he's always been such a dynamic playmaker. You put the ball in his hands and exciting things happen. But if you watch what he's been able to do, his ability to understand the routes, be a great route runner, he understands he has freedom within a lot of different routes at that position. We give that position a little bit more freedom even than other positions within the route running. And he understands, though, the freedom that he has, and doesn't just freelance it, but he understands the defensive coverages and the looks that he has, and he has a great feeling of how to attack those different coverages and looks and how to win versus the different coverages people playing against him. So I think he does a great job as a receiver. And then we all know that, hey, once the ball's in his hand, he makes exciting and dynamic things happen after the catch. So I think, it just shows how he's just kind of improved from a playmaker to an every down reliable player.
And Emery's okay, right?
Yeah. We always have the package. We just didn't get him in the other night, and but he's ready to go.
Zach. Hey, Dan, you guys have had 5 true freshmen play over 100 snaps this year. How important have those guys taking on solid roles been as you guys have clinched the SEC East?
Well, it's huge. You look at, especially a year like this, that, you have guys get injured, you have the COVID issues, you have all the different things going on. There's opportunities for guys. And, not that in every program, as you build the program, you don't sit there and say, okay, we're going to rely on a lot of true freshmen all year long to win for us. I don't think any program relies on that. People might say that in recruiting sometimes, but you don't rely on that. Throughout your entire program, but it shows a lot of these guys came in, were ready to play. We talked to that. When you get an opportunity, go seize that opportunity. But I think as a program, when you talk to young men, if they understand that they worry about improving, worry about getting better, and worry about taking advantage of opportunities, and then they look at other guys on the team and say, okay, boy. Hey, I've got an opportunity to play early in my career. Kyle Trask didn't get an opportunity to play till a little bit later in his career, but he certainly took advantage of it. Kadarius Toney had a small role early and then became an everyday playmaker later in his career. Kyle Pitts played his whole freshman year at wide receiver. Now he's the best tight end, and then kind of helped him learn and get reps that way. Now he's the best tight end in the country. So, I think a lot of the guys within the program see it, and then they understand if I'm given an opportunity, the best thing I can do is take advantage of that opportunity. There's a lot of guys we have on our team that want to play a lot more. And, I wish we could get them to play more, but you know what? They understand, hey, I'm going to be ready for my opportunity when it comes. And if I worry about that, and then when my opportunity comes, I jump on it and seize on it, that opportunity, I'm going to have a great career.
Goldie.
Yeah, Dan, I'm curious with the early signing day obviously coming up. You guys seem like you're in a position where you've locked up most of your class. What has it been like just going through this entire recruiting process where you really haven't even been able to kind of get face-to-face with guys?
Yeah, it's unique. You can do it on FaceTime or Zoom calls and that type of stuff, but, you don't have them in person here. So it's been a little bit different. Be interested to see what after this year, what maybe the NCAA takes as a plus and a minus moving forward coming out of it. I'm sure there's a lot of things you could evaluate and say, hey, this has forced us to view things very differently. Are there some benefits to it, and what could be beneficial with this moving forward?
Do you worry at all that with guys not having had the chance to get on campus quite as much that may lead to more transfers down the road?
I don't know. I think you're going to see a lot more transfers down the road, to be honest with you, because of the new NCAA rules that they're putting into place. So that I've seen, I don't know if they're in place yet, but appear to be going into place. So I think you might just see that a little bit more coming in the future anyway.
Demetrius.
Hey, Coach, you guys have had a couple of bumps and bruises throughout this season, but how important has it been for you guys just to not have any long-term injuries throughout this entire year?
Well, it's helped. I think if you look, I don't know if we've had 70 scholarship players yet available for a game, to be honest with you. It doesn't feel like it, So, like you said, we've had a lot of bumps and bruises, but it's been beneficial that none of them have been, or knock on wood, we have had very few that are longer-term injuries. They're more, guys missing a couple weeks here or there and able to come back, and then, somebody else gets banged up and goes out, and they're missing a couple weeks. But, that's kind of a football season, and this year's even more unique than other years with, because of the COVID thrown into it as well.
Do you think about that at all going into this week? I mean, I know that you want to play and compete in this game and then think to the SEC championship later, but do you think about injuries or anything like that this week?
No, it just is what it is. We got to go out and play. We'll get guys opportunity to go out there and play, and we got to get better. That's kind of what our focus is.
Appreciate it.
Back to Edgar and close with Mark.
Yeah, on the run game, you guys ran on your last 3 touchdowns, 1 running back run, just for the record. So,
hey, thanks. We weren't, honestly, I hate to say, we weren't putting a concerted effort in to run the ball. I think you've seen us do that before. And if I want to go put our energy into it, I'm sure we can figure it out. But we really didn't have a concerted effort into running it on Saturday. We might this Saturday. I might come out in the wishbone this Saturday.
Yeah, nice. That was just kind of like letting you know. The data proves it. So Kyle Pitts, do you feel like Kyle Pitts has just been taking some hits, man? He got a shot on the sideline that kind of the other day. Do you think teams are really just like going after the guy a little bit?
I don't know. He's a big guy, though. He catches the ball. He's an athlete in the open field, and he's a big guy. So, I think people look, if you want to tackle him, you better throw everything you have into him right there. You know what I mean? So, and you're 6'6", 240 something, you got to put a lot of oomph to even try to get him down on the ground. So, no, he's responded pretty. He's done a great job of that all year of being a physical player.
12 seniors, and I counted just now, I think 12 that were here during 17, and some before that in 16, like Kyle and some others. What has this class done and overcome, and what are you going to think about this class years from now, you think?
Well, I think one, obviously, that they were dealt with a difficult deal of coming in with a new coaching staff, and they were then recruited them. That always, kind of leads to a challenge a little bit in itself, and there has to be a buy-in and a belief that, these new guys coming in, these new coaches coming in, are going to do things a little bit differently than maybe I thought. But I think the success we've had over the last 3 years has shown their buy-in. That we came in, we said, hey, if you buy in and believe in what we're doing, we're going to have the opportunity to compete for championships. And, I'm sure most of them are very thankful they bought in. They believed in what we're trying to do. And, here they are, their senior year, getting to go compete for a championship.
Cool. Thank you.
Mark?
Hey, Dan. Just following up on a couple of things, but how much time, energy, resources have you already attributed to Alabama? I know you clinched now, but let's be honest, this thing's been in the works for a month.
Well, we have our advanced scouting people work on that to get everything in, all the information in, everything broken down. So once, we had an idea that there was the opportunity to that, and so that when we get in on Sunday morning of next week, everything's all prepped, ready to go for us to start working on that game plan.
And then Demetrius was I think this is where he was headed, but how do you balance playing to win Saturday versus being smart and being healthy for the bigger game, which is Alabama?
Yeah, we don't worry about that. We got to go play, and, it is what it is. You just go play, I could worry about, I think when you start worrying about those things, you're thinking about all the wrong things. I could be worried about the guys, walking to class or, tripping on the sidewalk or going to practice every day. Your focus is, how do we go win the game this week? And, go win. There's not many Florida teams have ever won 9 SEC games in one season. We have the opportunity to do that this week. I think only 2 have ever done that. So we have the opportunity to do that this week. So there's an awful lot on the table for our guys to be focused on to go win this week, and that's the complete focus on this team.
And lastly, you've built a couple programs, obviously. How is it, do you think about the precarious spot of being very successful and having so many guys turn pro, and then you're stuck in a spot kind of like where LSU is now, where it can turn on a dime if success can almost be your enemy?
Yeah, but as it gets to that, we meet with a lot of our guys. I've already met with several guys, and you go through it. The key is you want guys to make good decisions. We've had guys leave early each of the last couple of years, and it seems like every year, like, oh, goodness, we had guys leave early, but we got better the next year. And I tell the guys that. I said, the decision's not whether they stay or go. We'll still be here. We'll go compete. We'll go play. The decision is, and I think this is where the people that start making mistakes when they do this, is they listen to the wrong people or they have the wrong vision of what it is all about when you go to make that decision. The decision is about them and their future. And their ability, not just their ability to play it professionally, but their preparedness to not just make it to the NFL, but stay in the NFL. So there's a lot that goes into that decision making. And most of the guys that really sit and reflect and think about it and view it and say, okay, here's where I'm at. Here's what I would expect if I come back. Here's what to expect if I leave. What puts me in the best position, not for the next 6 months or year, but over the next 5 to 6, 7, 8, 10 years of my life. What's put me in the best position to be successful? And when guys think about the decision and make it the right way, usually they have a lot of success. When they don't make it the right way, a lot of times they don't have success. And, all we want to see is our guys have a lot of success. And, we'll still have a team. We'll still be playing. We'll still be competing next year. And I just want for our players, for them to go make a great decision. And, it doesn't have anything to do with me. It doesn't have as much to do with it doesn't really do with our program. It is about them and their future. And as long as, they make good decisions, it usually works out the best for everyone.
Thanks, Coach.
The wishbone on the first play Saturday.
Wishbone. That's right. I'll make them think right there. Ed's going to get nervous.
We want to see.
Huh? You guys challenge. It feels like you're challenging my ability for us to be able to run the ball. So I'm not even going to throw it on Saturday. We're going to run it every play of the game. So.
I think we would. I can't imagine how much we'd be ripping you for running the ball with Kyle Trask, Kyle Pitts, Kadarius Toney, and
if we had run it 60 times on Saturday and only thrown for like 120 yards, you'd be like, what are you doing? No, it's
52 yards of offense, and we're like, but only 19 yards rushing.
We take what they give us. So have a good week.
Thanks, man.